Okay, so what you will see on your screens now that I started the recording is on the top right, everyone will have gotten a notification that recording is happening. And that's just so that there's not a circumstance that somebody knows that they're, or doesn't know that they're being recorded. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll dive right in. Okay, so once you install the Zoom client on your computer, this is the interface as it is after initial installation. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign in, and you're going to need your email address and the password that you created. This is not required on the student side. So on the student side, they can just click a link and join your meeting. This is only required for the host. Okay. So once you sign in, you're going to be presented with this interface, which is just your general landing page. Couple things right here. You'll see in this area that is white right below the clock, that I have no scheduled upcoming meetings on this account today. If you do have classes or sessions that you're going to be doing with your students or with administrators or colleagues, this is where any scheduled meetings will come up. Now, you don't have to schedule all your meetings. You can do a quick meeting or one using what's called your private meeting ID. I recommend, whenever possible, whenever you're student facing, trying to avoid using that, because what can happen is if your previous session is running over, then people with that meeting ID will join into the previous session. There might be some confusion there. It's better to leave them waiting for their session to start, and so everyone gets their own ID. We're going to go through all of that and what that looks like in a couple minutes, but just a constraint that I would recommend there. Okay.
I don't have the same page that you do.
Sure. So when you open it up, are you opening on a Mac or a PC?
No, I'm on a Surface, so I'm on a PC.
You're on a PC, and
is it on a website?
I am on the website.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you first open it, it's going to take you to the website. But then when you actually launch a Zoom, it should download the actual app automatically, and that's what Michael's currently presenting on.
Oh, so I can. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead. No, what's your question?
I was going to say, so can I still do all of this from the screen I'm on?
So probably not.
Okay.
The screen that you're on, if you're on the website, is going to be their we're going to go through the website interface also in a little bit, but that's where you're going to do things like scheduling your meetings and setting your configuration options.
Okay. So
you'll see on my screen that I kind of circled the Zoom icon, how it appears on your desktop.
Let me see.
So you would have to download and install it the first time in order to get that.
All right, then I'll do it from my phone then. That's okay. All right.
Yeah, and we'll get there. Like we'll go through all of those options as we get a little deeper into the session.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
Yep. So once you launch it from the application on your computer, you're going to be presented with this. You can launch a quick meeting here just by clicking New Meeting. That goes ahead and uses what's called your private meeting ID. And so that's just something that is a constant. If you and a partner are collaborating frequently, you guys know your IDs. You can just click that button and type in each other's IDs and jump right in. The other thing that you can do is if you have anyone who has the same email address, the domain on the email address, you'll start getting a contact list created for internal users as well as any external users. So you can start building out a group of common people that you're collaborating with, that you're sharing with, or that you're instructing, and having that be a simpler way of starting up a meeting ad hoc. Okay. Other things that are available for you, you're going to see a chat window where you can directly chat, instant message back and forth. And then this is a fuller view of your meetings as they were. So this is your personal meeting ID that I was describing before, but you can create or schedule meetings directly in this interface. I prefer to do it on the website, and I'll get into why we're suggesting that in a second. So for right now, I'm going to start up a meeting and Shreena is going to join the meeting. All right. So I'm doing a new meeting and I'm not going to worry about audio right now for that meeting. So I just passed it by. I'm going to invite a participant and I'm going to do it by email. So it asks me, which way do you want to do that? I can either throw it into my default email client or it directly integrates with Gmail or Yahoo. If you don't know which one you use, that's fine. You can just click this copy invitation button right here. And what that does is it copies it to your clipboard. So when you open up an email and you write up what you want to write in that, all you have to do is paste it, and all the information that the user needs to get access to this meeting is just going to be dropped right in there. So in this case, the meeting ID that Shreena is going to be joining is highlighted here. It's the meeting ID 232-370-331. Now, you can certainly tell somebody that, just like I just did, or they can just click the link that's provided in the email and everything will be set up for them. The differences are whether or not you want to have your users or your students be told verbally whether you want them to join a session, or if you're going to schedule it ahead of time and provide them an email link. So you'll get to know the people that are working with you, the people that you're working with, and you'll get to learn what the best method is of getting them this information. But the interface does try to make it very, very simple to get you that.
And if you see oh, you just closed it, but
I'm sorry.
in Michael's settings, he has it set so that there's a password as well to get into the meeting. So you may also need a password to provide. So you give them if you're just giving a student verbally how to get into the meeting, you give them the meeting ID, but then also give them the password. So 754, is that right? 519?
Yeah, 754-519. Okay. So this is the interface, how it looks after you start a basic meeting. So you're gonna have basically your names highlighting the people that are part of it. As you start to see more names come in, there will be more people. You'll see more and more of these little boxes. So you get this general interface that shows you what you are able to do. The basic is that you'll have a camera. You can also have audio, and you'll have the ability to, inside this interface, invite people. That's the same information that we had access to before. You can manage your participants, so you can get further information about what each of your participants are doing. You can make them a host. You can allow them to record. You can allow them to start their video. You can basically say, listen, I want you to be on video right now. And it doesn't automatically start it. It just asks them to do it. You can chat directly with them. And you have the ability to mute and unmute all your participants right here at the bottom. So if you've got 50 kids that are joining in and it's very noisy, there's a lot of background noise, you can mute everybody but yourself, do the lesson, and then unmute people as they raise their hands or ask questions. Now, you have obviously the ability to share your screen. Okay, you're going to get with that show start menu, the desktop, the window that's currently open, or you can share just your open applications. So right now, the only application I have open on this is Microsoft Teams. But if I open Microsoft Word, for example, and I close that window, there's my Microsoft Word interface. I'm just going to open up a document. And now if I go back to the share screen, now you'll see that I have two options. One to share Microsoft Teams, because that was the one that was already open, and another one to share my Microsoft Word. So if I click that and hit share, you'll see that there's a green box that shows up around your active window. It's what that's indicating to you is that this is all that the user is seeing. They're not seeing everything that's happening on your screen. They're only seeing that one window. I am currently using that on my main computer. I'm going to just take a step back and share my entire window instead of sharing just my desktop. And what you're going to see is this is the VM, the virtual machine that I was working in that I was sharing before. And then around that is my Mac, and so now I'm sharing my entire window. So you can kind of see how it can be useful to limit your users into seeing just the application that you want them to see at the time and not the entirety, because it might get confusing or cumbersome if you've got other things going on in the background. Are there any questions about that or the way that I'm utilizing that at this point?
I have a question about the whiteboard.
Yep, absolutely.
Is that interactive?
It can be, yes. So I'm going to jump into the whiteboarding next. Before I get into that, I just wanted to show annotations onto the window that we're working with, and how to collaborate on this window, and then we're going to jump into the whiteboarding. What you'll see
before we just move on,
absolutely.
One other alternative to well, not alternative, but one other side to sharing your full screen versus just a single screen is if you know ahead of time that you're going to be opening and closing multiple windows, you may want to opt to share your full screen, because in the moment in the moment of a teaching lesson, I can imagine that it might be a bit stressful to go back and then reshare a different screen. So you might want to just make sure that you have any applications that you don't want or that you're not going to be using during the teaching session closed, and then share your full screen. Okay.
Yep. So in addition to the just basic sharing, you can see that I've got a menu here that pops up that allows me to let's see, it's still not working for me. To manage all the participants. I can pause the share, I can do a new share, I can also annotate. When I click the annotate button, I'm going to get this sub-menu that allows me to define what I'm going to be doing. So let's say that I wanted to highlight something in red or circle something in red. I could use the draw function and format it with red and make it a little bit thicker and say, this is a very important piece of information to the students. So while you're sharing what's on your screen, you can make this process interactive. Now, that's not limited to just one person. You can share the ability to annotate with anybody and allow them to directly annotate, and everybody would be able to see the screen and to clear that. Now, when you do that, I'm going to go back to my participants window. You can see, you can make other people the host, and that gives them more flexibility and more ability to share. So if there's one person that is that you want to be able to, that has something on their computer that they find important to share, you can say, I want Shreena to be able to share her screen right now. So I'm going to make her the host. It's going to ask, do I want to confirm that? I say yes. Now what Shreena can do is, I'm just going to clear my my drawings. Go ahead, Shreena, and you can share your screen. Okay, and now we see Shreena's screen in place of mine. All right, so that allows a student to say, listen, I have a question. This is how mine looks. Can you have a look and see what's going on here? Once I do that, I can still come into my view options here and annotate with Shreena, and I can draw in this section and say, look right here, this is what you're missing. All right, so it allows for that two-way visual communication and working together on that one screen. So everybody has the ability to do this annotation and say, these are the areas that I need help with. All right, I'm going to now, I'm gonna go back and redo my share. So Shreena, can you pass control back to me? Excellent. Okay. And I'm going to reshare my entire screen. this time.
And
Okay.
to pass control back, I just clicked on stop share on my screen. Okay. You can see that on Michael's screen there too. It's the little red
Yep.
button.
Okay. Now, if somebody is presenting a challenge that they're not rescinding their control, you do have the ability to right here reclaim host, and that basically removes the control from them. So if there is some kind of problem that comes across and they either don't know how to do it, or there's a reason that you need to remove the control, you do have the ability to pull that control back because the session is yours. You have that ability. You also have the ability to rate, or everybody who's part of the session has the ability to raise their hand. And that is indicating to the presenter, hey, I've got a question, in a nonverbal way, so that you're not interrupting the flow of the demonstration, but you're able to acknowledge that the person has a question and come to them in a few minutes.
What does that look like on your side when somebody raises their hand?
Yeah. So so what I'm going to do is, Shreena, could you raise your hand in this? Actually, I think I need to give me 1 second before she can do that. I think I need to rescind her control, because the host is the one that would get it. So go ahead, Shreena, and now you should see the raise hand. The other thing I can do, go ahead.
So it's just, the raise hand is, do you see it's just a little hand that's showing up in blue?
You see that there?
I don't see it because it's behind your screen. Can you move the screen a little bit to the left, maybe?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, I see it.
Next to my name.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
The other useful thing that might be a good idea to direct the students to is the chat functionality. So I'm going to send that one over, and you can kind of see that blinks on the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
And kind of has an indicator of how many chats you might have going on. So it might be a little bit better to direct your students to that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share the whiteboarding. Now, I think that the whiteboarding works best if you have a peripheral device. I'm going to be using an iPad, as you can see here, that I've joined with a free Zoom session into the same session. You don't have to do it this way, but the reason I like doing that is because you get the ability to use something like one of their styluses to draw, and it looks a little bit better than if you're freehanding on the screen. Best Buy does also have things like Wacom tablets, or possibly the school systems do also, where you basically get a tablet next to your computer that you can draw or write on. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is the whiteboard as it comes up, and I have the ability to here just literally write on the iPad, say, hello, 1 × 1 = 1. You know, whatever you're going to be doing, and that process happens very seamlessly. You do get the ability to add tabs. So down at the bottom right, you can't see it because it's actually on my iPad, but there's the ability to add tabs and go back and forth between drawings and say, I'm going to do a long island. Okay, so if I can flip back to this one, and I can jump to this one and have multiple tabs going, so I can have sections of the board set up already ready to go with certain lesson bits or certain information. You do have the ability to change your color. Red, my handwriting is atrocious, I am sorry for that. And you do have the ability to do things like make the lines thicker. You can do I don't have any circles, but let's see what I can do here. So this is the ability to do like straight lines or typing. So there's a lot of availability of function in the whiteboard to make it clean and make it usable. The interface, I'm going to show my iPad screen again. It's very intuitive. It's pretty much what you're seeing there, plus some drawing tools at the bottom. So it does allow you to prep up the whiteboards ahead of time, to have them ready to go and saved, and then supplement them or add information as you need during the process of that class.
Could you
there
add
any
video to that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Would you be able to add video to that whiteboard if you wanted to do like a link to a video and play it for them?
So what you would end up doing is you would actually share. I'm gonna do it inside of the window, so I'm gonna reshare my computer again. What you would do is you would have something like, you would do something like this, that you have a video queued up and ready to go, or a website queued up and ready to go, like this. Okay, so let's say that you knew that you wanted to have a video ready to go. This is where you would first, inside of your machine that you're sharing with, I would have my whiteboard up, which looks like this. All right, and this is where I was telling you that you could have the multiple tabs down here, where one, that's a very rough 2, I'm sorry. 3, okay, so there's my 3 whiteboards. I have that going, and then when I'm ready to switch over to the video, I would go to my new share button right here and leave the whiteboard for a second and go directly to the video, play the video. Okay, and then you would come back when you're done with the video and you would return to your whiteboard.
Oh, great, thank you.
Yep. So absolutely, that workflow works and it's there, but you would be prepping up multiple tabs on your screen and have them basically ready to go when you were ready to begin presenting. Okay. Now let's go here. And one other thing that we want to highlight that does come in to be pretty valuable is this remote control feature. So I can either auto accept all requests, which basically means that anyone that I'm presenting to can request to control my screen and they would get direct keyboard and mouse control over my computer. So that's great for collaboration if you trust everybody and if you're working together. Otherwise, you can give direct control to one person or to a subset of people that would allow you to come in and control what's going on in the computer and work together, for example, on a document. So if I'm going to give control to Shreena right now, and then we are going to be able to, oh, we want that one, let's do on screen. Okay. So then we're going to be able to work together on a Word document, which I'm going to open up. Okay. So go ahead, Shreena.
I'm sorry, Mike, did you share it within, because we have 2 sessions going on. Did you share it within the?
You're correct. I probably shared it in the
main one?
Yeah, in the main one. So let me do this. I'm going to share that Word document. Okay. So you can notice at the top, the green bar says Shreena is controlling your screen, and my hands are up. If you have the window, you can see that she is directly editing the document at this point. So the point there is for collaboration and communication. You know, we can work together on these documents. It could be that you're working as if you're in the same room with others. You know, literally working on the same document at the same time. Any questions about that?
No.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to stop this share and I'm going to start going through the actual Zoom interface. So I'm going to minimize my PC. And at this point, you guys are going to flip over to see my Mac. And there you go. Okay. So can everyone see my Mac now? You should see my kids at West Meadow.
Yes.
All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually go through the process and the settings that you have for creating and utilizing the Zoom interface. All right. So as a member of Zoom already, you're going to have an account. So when you go to zoom.us, so it's not zoom.com, it's zoom.us, you're going to click on the My Account button, top right. All right, that will sign you in. If you have it already remembering your password, then you'll be all set there. If you don't, then you'll have to type in your username and password, okay? Right off the bat, you're going to get some basic information. You're going to get the ability to change your profile picture. You're going to get your personal meeting ID. This meeting ID is static for you unless you actually go in and change it, which you can do here. So if for some reason there's somebody who's abusing it and popping into meetings all the time that you don't want to, and they have that meeting ID, you can change it. You'll have to let everybody else know that your personal meeting ID has changed. You have the ability to see your email address that's bound to the account. Your licenses are going to be set for free, but they are education licenses that are being granted for free by Zoom. So I'm not 100% sure how it's going to appear here, but you're going to be getting all the same features as what I'm showing here, which is a licensed version. The licensed version normally costs $15 a month per user. So they're doing a really great thing for the school districts across the world, really. And everyone who's affected with this this virus is getting the Zoom for free for education. So it's really great. So you have the ability to set how you want your time to appear, month, day, year. Do you want to use 24-hour time, or do you want to use 12-hour time, so AM, PM versus military time? It defaults to the 24-hour time, but you can change that here under Edit. Okay. So you can connect to calendars such as Google, Outlook, Exchange. I don't know what each of your school districts use. We are certainly able to help you do that with the permission of your districts, but but you should reach out to your district first about this and to get this integration set up. And if they want to work with us, we're more than happy to do so. Okay. Sign in password. These are the places that you're going to be able to change that password that was defaulted that Shreena showed you. So you can change it, remove it, have that be modified here. So also when you create meetings, and we're about to go through the process of creating a meeting, you can have it so your meetings do or do not require that. Okay. So when I go into my next thing down, which is meetings, okay, you'll see that you can have recurring meetings or one-time meetings, okay? So I have one recurring meeting set up here, which is this Educator series that you're currently in. That Educator series allows us, to quickly use the same meeting ID and be able to circulate this around to all the educators and get them in and show them how to use this tool so that we can get started, again, trying to bring a sense of normalcy back to life on Long Island and New York.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are ready to create a meeting, you're going to click this Schedule New Meeting button. Okay, here you're going to be able to give it a name. You can name it anything that you want. You can also give it a description. The name is mandatory. The description is optional. Okay, you have the ability to set a one-time meeting time, okay, and duration, or you can set it to be a recurring meeting where it will occur every day at a certain time. It will end by a certain date or after a certain number of occurrences. You also can have a recurring meeting that does not end, okay, which is what I've done here. So when I go through, you can also set up registration. I did not have this turned on. I wasn't trying to capture your email addresses and usernames and that kind of stuff. You can turn this on so you can capture who attended your classes. So that's a really useful tool for you to get information and to be able to prove attendance. And so in general, if it's a classroom-based thing, I would suggest having that on so you do capture. But that is, really up for you and your districts to determine. The next thing, meeting ID. I generally recommend you do not use your personal meeting ID because anyone with that can join your sessions at any time. I would rather see that you're generating, like if you're doing a chemistry class, all your chemistry classes have the same meeting ID, so it's easy to schedule and they're not getting new meeting IDs every time. But somebody who's in your algebra class doesn't necessarily have the ability to join into the chemistry class because that meeting ID is different. Okay, you can also turn on or off requiring a meeting password. In general, just like for this meeting, did not require a password. If it's not highly confidential, I would recommend having this require meeting password off. Video, you can default to having your video on or off and the participant video on or off. As you saw when you joined, you have the ability to turn the participant video. The participant has the ability to override what the host requests. So if the host requests that videos are on, the participant has the ability to say, no, I don't want that. Now, something that has been, or that we have personal experience with, is that when you do have the videos on, if the participants do have the videos on, you're more likely to get a high attention rate, you're more likely to get a high participation rate and engagement rate because they know that they're also on camera. And it's not just the educator that's seeing it, but their peers are seeing it also. Now, you have the ability down here, the next one, to allow audio via telephone, computer audio, or both. I normally leave this to both because I don't care if somebody's dialing in via telephone or in front of the computer. If you want to mandate that people are in front of the computer, then you can turn on the computer audio, and then the audio has to come through the computer. That means that they have to be in a spot that they can also view the lesson. There's times that people might not be able to be in that situation, so that's normally why I allow the telephone, because I'd rather have them on at all than say, well, I'm not going to join because I can't be in front of the computer. Okay. Other options.
And one other caveat with that too. Sorry for interrupting. One other caveat with that too is that some students might have issues with the microphone in their computer, or it can kind of pick up some background noise. So giving them the option to dial in with the phone can be important in that respect.
Sure. So other options that you can have for your meetings, you want them to be able to join before you. So essentially what you can do is have the meeting automatically start before you get there so that the students have an opportunity to discuss, kind of like they would in a classroom setting, to have an open forum and dialogue before the educator joins into the session. That is an option. Or if you want to enforce that the educator is in front of the classroom before people are able to join, that's what that tick box does. The next thing, mute participants upon entry. That can be very important, particularly with large groups. So if you have a lot of students that are going to be joining in and they're potentially in noisy environments, and you don't want a new participant joining to be disruptive to others, you can have everybody automatically muted when they come in, and enforce that they raise hands or enter the chat to prompt you to unmute them to ask the question or to have a dialogue. Enable a waiting room is what you experienced when you joined into this session. That the first thing that happens is it drops the participants into a holding room that allows for a couple people to be setting up the meeting, or allows you to prep up the meeting space. Like, you can start the meeting ahead of time, get the whiteboard set up, get any videos or multimedia options available on your desktop while they're queuing in the waiting room. And then at the end, when you're ready to admit them, there's one button to admit everybody, and they all can come into the room at the same time. That's the exact functionality that I used while prepping this call up. Okay. Only authenticated users can join. What that one is by default, Zoom does not require that attendees have a Zoom account. If you do want them to all have a Zoom account, or if the district requires that they all have a Zoom account, then that's the functionality that allows, is that everyone might have to have a Zoom account with their district provided email address, or you can utilize that to allow educators and administrators to talk to each other without worrying that that students are going to be joining in, because students don't have a Zoom account, the educators do. And then record the meeting automatically. So just like I always like to make sure that that I fully inform people before the call and get permission to record it. New York is a single party consent state, so only one party needs to know that it's being recorded. But especially in the education environment, I do think it's important to let people know that this is being recorded. So I would normally default to have that off and then say I'm going to be recording this, and then actively turn it on. But again, that would probably end up being a district decision. And the final thing in this menu are alternative hosts. So if there's two educators that are going to be working together on a platform, or on a class, and either one of them can host it on a given day, then this would be a spot to say, well, this meeting can be started by either Jane or Mary or Peter, so on and so forth, and allow for multiple individuals to utilize the same meeting and not have to have the class worry about, did I join the right meeting today for this chemistry class, for example. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. That is the highlight for, and then recordings, actually. Recordings appear here. This allows you to see any cloud recordings that you have, which is, I am recording this to the cloud right now. And then you get, with your educator account, you get 1 gigabyte worth of recordings for free. That's true for any pro account. And then you can always store things locally, which is the other option for how to process recordings, and then you're not constrained to the 1 gigabyte that is allowed in the cloud. So you have options, and this would of course be reliant upon your computer having appropriate free space to do it, but today most computers do. So that's where you find the recordings. Okay. So I want to turn it over to you now. That's the highlight of what I wanted to cover, but we are here to help you with any specific questions or find solutions that you might need answers to before you can deploy this.
And Michael, sorry, before we go into questions,
sure.
I just wanted to point out one thing with the sharing of any video. So someone had asked, what if I want to share a video or an audio clip? It's important that when you are sharing, I don't know, Mike, if you want to click on the share button on your screen.
Yeah, let me back over to the VM.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm just gonna share inside of the VM now.
You might need to unshare and then.
Okay. So now, let me get back to this Zoom. Okay.
Yes, Zoom is within Zoom.
Yes, I've got Zoom within Zoom here. Okay, so
okay.
Go ahead.
So do you see where Michael would be able to share the video? There's also a share computer sound. So your participants won't be able to hear the video unless you click that checkbox when you're sharing a video. So that's important to note.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then
sorry,
this
now
one.
we can turn it over to questions if we want.
Yes. Okay, so did anybody have any questions that they wanted us to go over and help you out with finding solutions for?
I think I need to play with it a little bit more, but if I did have a question, is there a way to contact, or is there help on the page, like the website?
Yes, so Zoom actually did create a website specifically for educators. to
perfect.
go on. We'll send that link over to you after this call, and that has a whole bunch of resources. Liz, I see your question. Is there a way for hosts to see other participants, but for participants not to see one another? I'm thinking for confidentiality purposes. I believe the answer to that is yes. I need to research that and find out, so I will follow up in an email with that answer. Okay, were there any other questions?
No, this is great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks
So
everyone for joining.
yeah, thank you. I will be following up with an email and a link to this session video, so that you can access it and refer back to anything that was here. I'll also include the Zoom materials that they published on their website for training. And then I believe I saw this morning that they are also planning on posting a self-guided tutorial. So I will provide that link once that goes up. And of course, we're available for any questions. So if you do have any, feel free to just reply to the email, and you can ask away. Shreena and I will either have the answer, or we will find the right answer for you, or direct you to the right resource.
Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and everyone stay healthy.
You too. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.